Okay, my hair has always been long, but generally I had cut it at a certain point and it was no longer long, and people were asking me, what did you do to your hair? So at some point, as seen from the thumbnail, I grew my hair in a period of 6 months. And how I did this are tips I want to show you. I grew my hair was basically for 6 months, where I had cut my hair because I just saw that there was just a reductant length. It kept on, it grows, it cuts, it grows, it cuts, it grows, it cuts. So I was really frustrated, and I just said, you know what, let me just cut it to a length where I could grow it back in 6 months. So I did. I made sure that I cut off the split ends by my hair, which is also a very important tip for the first of how I grow my hair. You need to cut your hair, because if you keep it, your hair starts to grow split ends, and so you need to be trimming your hair constantly, because it's also another figure to help your hair grow. If you're not cutting your hair, you never take time to cut it, it will most definitely be just stagnant for a long period of time. The second thing is also to reduce in blowing and toning. Now, it's good to have your hair straight all the time, but not really all the time and every time, because the more you do, the more you stretch your hair and push it out, the more it will get into breakage, and which is a bad thing. And I advise you to reduce on blowing and toning your hair, because it most definitely does break hair. And for the longest period of like in a year, I would only blow my hair once or twice in that whole year. So I found 6 months of not blowing or toning really got my hair long, and also it brings back color, because the more you tone and blow out your hair, the more your color will change to a different color. And I really like my hair black, so I reduced on that for that basis thing. The other tip that I would give out for how to grow your hair is, now people say use all kinds of products. It's not really true. If I tell you I used chambe, I used chamba, I genuinely just used normal products, just for the fact that you just need to keep your hair moisturized all the time. Moisturize your hair, and if you have your hair moisturized, it would give you more benefits of your hair growing, just for the fact that it's not dry, and it will be most then prone hydrated to grow. So just moisturize your hair. Whatever hair product you're using, just make sure that your hair is just always moisturized. It would benefit your hair a lot. The other tip I would give is, if you're going to have a routine hair, maybe all this rice water using, all this using of the extra chemicals in your hair, I'd advise you have a routine for your hair and only use it maybe once or twice in a week, and make sure that you wash out your hair after using that routine or whatever you're using for your hair, because it could most definitely bring a lot of dandruff growth, and also dandruff tends to make your hair not grow. Most of the times people think, oh, dandruff, having a lot of dandruff in your hair is normal. It's actually prone to prevent hair growth. So you need to make sure that you're not using over too much products that will end up making your hair have too much dandruff, that will also tend not to make your hair grow. So my best advice is not to use too much products and have a routine. in place, and make sure after that routine you wash out your hair. The other tip I would best advise is not touching your hair too much. Now there are a lot of ladies that like to change their hair from like 1 week to the next week, after 2 weeks in another. Just braid your hair and keep it at least for a month or two to give it room to breathe, to grow, because the more you tend to manipulate your hair, the more it will tend to break. Now most of the times, for people who know me, I don't like to flunk my hair all the time, so it would be either in a wig, which I am in right now, where I place my hair underneath a wig which has some braidings in it. But people most of the times tend to always have their hair out. Giving it time to breathe and grow also gives it a chance to grow out. And having maybe big braids, and when I say braid your hair, make it be something that's not too tight that will break your hair, and make sure it's not also something that is too small that when you have to braid you start to cut. I'd advise that you do not do that. Have protective styling. For people who know me, I just tie a bun to my head or have braids and just covered on top. So mostly those would be tips that you would use. The other tip I would advise is when you're combing out your hair after unbraiding or having knotlets, you do not tend to don't use a small comb. Use a big comb when you brush through your hair and it's going through, something big enough to not break your hair but able to pass through and just help through. That would be the best way to go about it. Yes. And then third thing you would use after is a big comb to braid through. The other thing that I would best advise is that you wet your hair a bit before you brush your hair. It will tend to break if your hair is dry and it has not a bit of moisture. So I best advise, before you pass through a comb or anything in your hair, you wet it just a bit, enough for it to be able not to break as much. So yeah, ladies, those were my tips on how I grew my hair from short to at least longer, and my hair journey that will continue to go forward. I will give you productive information if my hair grows tended down forward in the next video. Please hit up and look at the video that I've put down in the description box about feminism. And thank you very much for taking time. Like and comment down below what you thought about this video.